You walk into a store, pick something up, and for a moment it feels harmless. No alarms, no guards, no one even looking your way. But the second you step past that exit, everything changes. Because in the United States, getting caught stealing isn't just about returning an item or saying sorry. It can instantly turn into a legal situation that follows you for years, affecting your record, your job, your freedom, and even your future in ways most people never expect. The moment you are suspected of theft, whether it's shoplifting from a retail store, taking something from your workplace, or being accused of stealing property, the situation can escalate quickly depending on the value of the item, the location, and how the incident unfolds. And what many people don't realize is that even something as small as a low-cost item can still result in criminal charges that stay on your record. In most cases, if store security or staff believe you've taken something without paying, they may stop you before you leave or shortly after. And they are legally allowed in many states to detain you for a reasonable amount of time while they investigate, which means you could be taken to a back office, questioned, and asked to return the item. And at that moment, every word you say matters because anything you admit can later be used against you if the police get involved. Sometimes the police are called immediately, especially if the value of the stolen item crosses a certain threshold or if you have prior incidents. And when law enforcement arrives, the situation becomes more serious because now you are no longer just dealing with store policy, you are dealing with the criminal justice system. And depending on the state, theft is typically categorized into two main types: petty theft and grand theft, where petty theft usually involves items below a certain dollar amount and is treated as a misdemeanor, while grand theft involves higher value items and can be charged as a felony, which carries much heavier consequences. If you are arrested, you may be handcuffed, read your rights, and taken to a police station where you will be processed, fingerprinted, and possibly held in custody until bail is set or you are released, and this process alone can be overwhelming, especially for someone who has never been in trouble before, because suddenly you are facing legal terms, procedures, and decisions that can impact your life long after the incident itself. After the arrest, your case moves into the court system, and this is where things become even more critical because you may need a lawyer, you will likely have court dates, and you will have to decide whether to plead guilty, not guilty, or negotiate some kind of deal. And for many first-time offenders, there may be options like diversion programs or plea agreements that can reduce penalties or even keep the charge off your record if certain conditions are met, such as attending classes, paying fines, or completing community service. But these options are not guaranteed and depend heavily on the circumstances of the case, your history, and the laws of the state where the incident occurred. If the case goes forward, the penalties for theft can vary widely, ranging from fines and probation to jail time, and in felony cases, prison sentences, and beyond the legal penalties, there are long-term consequences that people often overlook, such as having a criminal record that shows up on background checks, which can make it harder to find a job, rent an apartment, or even qualify for certain professional licenses. And for non-citizens, a theft conviction can also have immigration consequences, potentially affecting visas or residency status. Even if you are not arrested on the spot, you could still face charges later if the store decides to press charges, especially if they have surveillance footage or other evidence, and many stores use advanced loss prevention techniques, including cameras, undercover security, and tracking systems, which means that even if you think you weren't noticed, there is still a chance the incident was recorded and could be used later. Another important detail is that in some cases, stores may send a civil demand letter, which is separate from criminal charges, asking you to pay a monetary penalty for the incident, and while it might seem optional, ignoring it can lead to additional legal trouble. The reality is that the consequences of getting caught stealing in the U.S. go far beyond the moment itself, and what might seem like a quick decision can turn into a long process involving legal stress, financial costs, and lasting damage to your reputation. And that's why understanding how the system works, what your rights are, and what steps to take next can make a huge difference in how the situation unfolds, because once you're caught, the focus shifts from the item you took to the legal path you're now on, and that path can be far more serious than most people ever imagine.